Okay, welcome. It's been a while since we've filmed one of these videos, and we wanted to sit down with David Johnstone, our seminarian, who's spending some time here with us to ask about his vocation story. This week, we are celebrating in our country National Vocations Week, which is really exciting. We've been working hard here at OLP to foster a culture of vocations, and as part of that, we wanted to sit down with David, so we're excited that he's here, and we're just going to ask him a couple questions. So, David, welcome.
Thank you.
My first question for you is tell us about your role here at OLP. What are you up to here?
Sure. So as I'm getting along in seminary, they ask us to be in the parish so that we kind of get to know the ministry, get to know what it's like to kind of be with people, and then just kind of hanging out with Father Dooley, following him around, see what does he do, how does he interact with people, just so that I can kind of get a feel for what it means to be a priest. God willing, I'll be ordained a deacon in April or May.
May of
23.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and how many more years until you become ordained a priest?
A year after that.
Okay.
So about a year and a half now.
Okay, great. And you'll be with us through clear to your ordination.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
Terrific.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. So in this year, it'll be like a chance for me to get to know the parish and the parish to get to know me before I start actually practicing the ministry. So that maybe I kind of know the people a little bit before I start preaching at them,
Right.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So in the spirit of us getting to know you, I understand that you were not born Catholic. You're a convert to the Catholic faith. Can you tell us in a sound bit version of what drew you to Catholicism?
Yeah, so it kind of began just as my life has progressed. I've been, following Jesus Christ and wanting to know him specifically, and then kind of how the church lives and acts in the world. And I just kind of really saw the fragmentation of the body of Christ, and then just kind of how, as I was searching for the right church to be a part of, or who was teaching the right things, I was pointed back to the church fathers, St. Polycarp, St. Ignatius, St. Irenaeus. What do they believe? Why do they believe? How do they live the faith? Because we have the Bible, obviously. We learn about who Christ is through that, what the church is through that. But then there's arguments, there's different takes on how was that lived out afterwards, and then how do we live it out today. So I wanted to know, in the first generations after Christ, how did they live out the church? How did they do their Sunday morning?
Yeah.
So reading the church fathers, apostolic fathers, I started to learn about the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, started learning about the priesthood and apostolic succession, bishops, those kind of things. And then I had to ask myself, well, who's doing that today? And that's the Catholic Church. So
lovely. Okay, So you mentioned reading about the Eucharist, reading about the priesthood. Now you're on the journey to becoming a priest.
Yeah.
Was that part of your story about why do I want to be a priest? What is your vocation story? What drew you to the priesthood?
So probably elementary school, my family started kind of getting into their faith again, and we just became very active in the church that I grew up in. Okay. So, but I remember since middle school, really, I would spend 3 days a week at church. I started reading the Bible and read through the whole Bible in middle school, and just like the community, I just always wanted to be learning about Christ, to be with the community, his body, and just had this idea that I'd be doing something for Christ and his church for the rest of my life. And so college, my time after college, living overseas, I had a job with the Salvation Army, helping people. So I've always kind of been trying to figure out, how does God want me to live out my life in the world? And then once I started learning about the priesthood, I thought, this is what I've been looking for my whole life.
Yeah.
And then I had a priest that I went through RCIA at his parish.
How old were you when you went through RCIA?
I began when I was 30.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So like 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago,
Okay.
somewhere around there. So I saw him. I'd never really spent time with a priest, never really met a priest before. Who's a priest? What do they do? And but I knew I was supposed to become Catholic. So I went to him, and the more I got to know him, the more I got to see him interact with the people, the more that I saw him live out his vocation as a full giving of himself in love to his people for their benefit, for them to get to heaven. I'd never seen that before.
Right. Oh, beautiful.
And it was heroic. It was just something that I'd always wanted, I thought, but I'd never seen it before, so I didn't know how much I wanted it.
Yeah.
So once I saw him, I thought I think this is the direction I need to go. Yeah.
Wow, really cool story.
Yeah.
All right, well, great. We are praying for you as you journey, and we'll be here with you the whole time.
Wonderful.
So we're glad that you're here, David. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again as we celebrate National Vocations Week this week, and we'll be praying for more vocations for the seminarians that we have, and for also the priests of our diocese and across our country. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. All right, that was great.